The race to the White House heats up as former U.S. Vice President Joe Biden's campaign continues to gather momentum. Simon Pusey has more with Around the World in 5.
Hello and good evening from the Channel studio here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Joe Biden has cemented his position as the front-runner in the Democratic race to take on President Donald Trump in November's White House election. The former vice president won Michigan, the biggest prize of primary voting on Tuesday, extending his lead over main rival Senator Bernie Sanders. The Democrats' next big election milestone is in a week's time, when 577 delegates are up for grabs.
And I want to thank Bernie Sanders and his supporters for their tireless energy and their passion. We share a common goal, and together we'll defeat Donald Trump. We'll defeat him together. We're going to bring this nation together.
The UK Chancellor has unveiled his first budget amid continued pressure from the coronavirus outbreak. Rishi Sunak presented his economic plans to MPs less than a month after taking over at the Treasury. He said the NHS would get whatever resources it needed to help fight the virus, as well as announcing more than £600 billion for infrastructure projects over the next 5 years and more money for potholes. Mr Sunak said his plan would make the UK one of the best-placed economies in the world to manage the potential impact of the virus.
The right immediate policy response is to provide security and support for those who get sick or can't work, through funding our public services and a strengthened safety net. Today, I'm announcing a new temporary coronavirus business interruption loan scheme. Banks will offer loans of up to £1.2 million to support small and medium-sized businesses. The government will offer a generous guarantee on those loans, covering up to 80% of losses with no fees so that banks can lend with confidence.
At least one person has been killed and more than 40 injured in a collision between two trains on Mexico City's underground system. It is not clear yet what caused the collision, but footage shows one of the trains mounted on top of the other. The crash happened at 11:30 p.m. local time at Tacubaya station in the west of the city. With 12 lines and 195 stations, Mexico City's underground is one of the busiest worldwide, with 1.6 billion passengers every year. The Mexico City mayor said 25 people had been taken to hospital, but that none of them had sustained serious injuries. Meanwhile, a Pakistan Air Force F-16 fighter jet has crashed in a parade ground in the capital Islamabad, killing the pilot as he was rehearsing for a Pakistan Day air show. Amateur video footage showed the US-built aircraft appearing to lose control and nosediving before it hit the ground and caught fire. The aircraft was taking part in rehearsals for a Pakistan Day air show on March the 23rd. A spokesman said Wing Commander Norman Akram embraced martyrdom in the crash. Rescue teams were working at the site to see if there were any other casualties. An armed gang has made off with some $14 million during a brazen robbery in Chile's international airport. According to police, some 10 people were involved in the heist. CCTV from the airport shows one man running from the scene, while others' faces are pictured during the robbery. Authorities said they drove the van from the DHL delivery service into a cargo area of the airport and targeted a van belonging to the Brinks security firm. In addition to the $14 million, they also stole €1 million. A paraglider's adventure in Alabama ended abruptly when he became stuck in a tree. A rescue team from the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency's aviation unit was called out to help the paraglider. Officials say the man, who was not identified, was stuck in the tree about 70 feet above the ground for about 4 hours. A helicopter was flown out to the stranded man and a rescue worker lowered by cable from the helicopter to make contact with him. He eventually was winched to safety. And finally, organisers of a week-long circus festival in Ivory Coast believe the entertainment form has a bright future in Africa. Ivory Coast recently held the 3rd edition of Fabrique Culture, organised by RICA, a week-long event aimed at bringing traditional circus to the streets of Abidjan. For the first time since the festival started 3 years ago, Rika included an acrobatic equestrian show. Performances by Speedy Ivoire Desalé were free for everyone in the streets of the poorer neighbourhoods of Abobo. The circus troupes came from all over sub-Saharan Africa, including Benin, Burkina Faso, Gabon and Ivory Coast, but also from around Europe. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Welcome to Sports News. The Nigeria Football Federation has restated its commitment to safe environment in the Nigeria Professional Football League (NPFL). Now, this follows the unfortunate incident in Lafia on Sunday when a player of Nasarawa United slumped and died during a league game. And in the NPFL matches, Rangers International of Enugu today defeated Katsina United 1-0 in a rescheduled game of the 2019-2020 NPFL at the Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium in Enugu. Chinonso Ezekwesili scored the only goal in the 46th minute to take the Flying Antelopes to 8th on the league table. And in the UEFA Champions League, Paris Saint-Germain have progressed to the quarterfinals after beating Borussia Dortmund 2-0 to win the tie 3-2 on aggregate. Georgino Wijnaldum scored for holders Liverpool to take their game with Atletico Madrid into extra time at Anfield. Now the game is still on. And that's it on Sports News. Back to Millicent with the wrap.
Thank you, Charles. And former Hollywood movie producer Harvey Weinstein has been sentenced to 23 years in prison for rape and sexual assault. He was found guilty in a trial in New York last month, a dramatic fall from grace for one of Hollywood's most powerful figures. And the main news again. The World Health Organization today declared coronavirus outbreak a global pandemic. The Director General of WHO, who made the announcement, called on governments around the world to take urgent and aggressive action to stop the spread of the disease. And that's News at 10 tonight. Many thanks for watching. I'm Millicent Walker. Have a good night.